Hello friends and family, welcome to episode 2 of Teaching Toast How to Cook. This time we're making quesadillas. Now, we're going to make chicken quesadillas. I like to think of them as gourmet chicken quesadillas, but that's just because they're going to be stuffed with all kinds of stuff. Step 1, we're going to make some chicken. First we got to season them, not too much, just a little bit of olive oil, some paprika maybe, and some cumin. We're not going to add any salt because we're adding a whole bunch of other seasoning to everything else. So we're just going to use a little bit of flavor for the chicken. Should be fine. Once you mix them all up, we can start cooking. Let's go ahead and put those on the grill. We're going to use a cast iron skillet. Probably should have used a larger one, but that's okay. Just throw them on there as best you can. And then we're going to move on to our veggies. First thing we're going to do is cut up an onion. Fancily. First you can cut off the ends. Then get rid of all that weird wrappy plastic stuff somehow. Perhaps maybe should have done that first. Let's throw some oil in there and mix it up. Now we're going to use olive oil instead of butter because we don't want to have our veggies cooked too soft. We do want them cooked, but we don't want them to get too soft. In my experience, the butter kind of softens everything you cook, whereas with the oil it kind of keeps things a little bit more crunchy. We want to have some texture when we bite into our quesadillas. So throw in your onions, mix them up a little bit, get the oil going, and we'll go from there. Careful you don't burn yourself. Well, anyway, let's move on to our peppers. We're going to have a red one and a yellow one. First thing you want to do is get rid of that weird little label that is impossible to take off, so just sort of do the best you can. Here's a little trick I learned watching a cooking show. Cut off the ends. And then you kind of stand it up like this, cut off the little thing there and there, then you sort of roll and cut at the same time. It looks pretty cool if you can pull it off. Don't quite pull it off here, but that's okay. Get rid of the seeds. One nice thing about cutting it that way, you get this weird little thingy here. Anyway, we're not going to use it. Move all the seeds out of the way. Don't cut yourself on the knife. And we're going to cut our pepper into strips. Not too big strips, kind of like that. You may want to cut those in half. We don't want the peppers to be too big. Get the other one up, and then we move on to the next step, which is mushrooms. Now with mushrooms, some people will just sort of rinse them under the sink. I like to use a wet paper towel and just wipe off all the, all that excess stuff. Keeps the mushrooms from getting too soggy, in my experience, and it kind of keeps a lot of the flavor in. Chop them up like that, and we're good to go. Now the onions will have been cooking for a pretty good amount of time, so they should be good to go. Throw in the peppers, not the mushrooms, not yet. Don't want to throw them in too early, because you want them to be, again, they get really soft really fast. So mix up your peppers and onions and let them sizzle for a bit. Let's check on the chicken. Let's go ahead and flip these. They should be ready. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And once again, you don't want to flip your chicken too much, but we're going to chop these up anyway, so it's not going to matter too much. Now, once that's done, get your cheese ready. We're going to shred some Monterey Jack, and we're going to shred some cheddar. You can use mild. I like to use sharp. This is another reason why we didn't really put salt on the chicken, because cheese has a lot of salt in it. Throw in your mushrooms, it's time, and let those kind of sit for a little bit at low heat. We don't want to burn the onions, which you almost have done, so definitely turn down the heat on those. Let's check on chicken. These should be fully cooked. One way to tell, go ahead and cut it open. We're going to cut these up into small cubes anyway, so if they're not cooked, go ahead and you can throw them back on, maybe cut them in half. These look okay, but I'll just go ahead and show you what I mean anyway. Weren't there 3 chickens? What did you do with the third one? Oh, there it is. Now, you don't need too much chicken for the quesadillas, so if you want, you can keep the rest for maybe tacos later or something. Yeah, that should work. Here's a little extra something I like to do. You can take your tortillas and put some butter on them. Now, once again, this is another reason why we don't put salt on the chicken. Little butter and cheese is kind of a lot. I didn't say these were healthy quesadillas, but they are going to be tasty. Go ahead and spread butter nice and thin, not too thick. The idea being when you grill them in the on the grill, or excuse me, pan, they're gonna get nice and crispy. So put the tortilla butter side down. I would have used a more solid plate, but we're gonna go with paper for some reason. Throw on some cheese, as much or as little as you want. I recommend as much as you want. It's gonna melt nice and good and make it very, very tasty. Now it's time to put everything together. We have our tortilla with cheese already on it. Put some chicken on there. I wouldn't put too much chicken because they're kind of big chunks. So, but honestly, stuff as much as you feel you can eat. Go ahead and put some of your veggies, as much or as little as you want. Now let's put them in the pan. Probably should have used a non-stick, but that's okay. Large food turner, good idea. Carefully get in there and flip it over. Bam! That's what it should look like. Nice and crispy. Check that out. Isn't that tasty looking? Cheese should be all melted, and it's gonna be awesome. Trust me. Okay, let's make another one. Carefully put the quesadilla in there, and oh, see, that's why you want to use a solid plate. Butter has made your paper plate all soggy, and it has failed at a pretty bad time. Now you got cheese all over your pan. That's cheese that could have been in your quesadilla. So you can salvage what you can, but because you didn't use a non-stick pan, the cheese is now fused into the pan, and it's pretty much become one with the pan. So not much you can do there. The good news is the quesadilla itself is actually fine. You just gotta wait for the cheese to cook inside. Carefully flip it over. You don't want to lose any more. There you go. And it looks a little messy, but it'll still taste fine. So see if you can save that pepper. Put him in there. Awesome. and put everything on some nice plates. Add some chips. We're gonna go with Tostitos, naturally. They're not paying me to say that, but if they would like to, I'm listening. Put some chips on there, there. Go ahead and add a little thingy of salsa. 1 and 2, and you got yourself a nice little lunch. Quesidillas, gourmet chicken quesadillas. Add a little extra chips there, and chips and salsa. Nice little lunch. That may look a little weird, but trust me, they're delicious. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. This has been episode 2 of Teaching Toast to Cook. We'll see you next time.